Federal constituency. I'm from Bauchi State. Mr. Speaker, while this preposition for the repeal of this bill on the surface looks quite palatable in the sense that it's impinging the argument on the issue of multiplicity of function and authority, but when you go deeper, you will find out that there are germane arguments that will go against it, and that instead of repeal, probably we'll need to look deeper into the National Program of Immunization Act and amend it so that it will be sub judice to the National Development, National Healthcare Program and Development Agency. My argument here is that, sir, in the first place, the program on immunization is predicated on so many factors. It is a program and it is not an agency. Number two, it is brought out in order to capture donor funds from outside the country. And we know today, 80 to 90% of the funds are donor agency funds. Number three, the only thing we do is we pay counterpart funding. Number four, it is because the international agencies don't want to be pumping their resources into existing bureaucracies because they get diluted. And therefore, that's why such small bubbles of bureaucracies are created within the national, particularly this one, within the Ministry of Health, and later on, it was brought into under the supervision of the National Program, National Health Care Development Agency. So to me, to just say we repeal it, we are saying that we don't want our friends, our development partners to help us. We are saying that we want the normal thing to continue. Sir, you have to also remember that there is a difference between routine immunization and when there is pandemic or epidemic or breaks in cholera, in Ebola, in various ways, and in diphtheria, in smallpox, and so on. And the circular thing like chicken pox and this thing that causes you to stiffen. This brain thing that comes when it is hot, mostly in northern Nigeria, meningitis and so on. So to this effect, I am not going totally against looking at the laws, but I am saying to just go on out repeal is not. That's why on the surface it looks palatable, but we have more germane agreement to look at it carefully at the committee level so that instead we should maintain it within the framework of the National Healthcare Program, yet we have that sub-judice to it so that we can continue to have our relationship with our development partners, to tap on resources which we don't have internally, and to have also people. So the only thing I know I benefit today in my constituency, in the villages, is the National Program of Immunization. It's continuous, it's going on, even if it is under the healthcare program, but if you leave it, look at it, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, which means it's more tilted towards infrastructure rather than the program which is affecting the human beings. And that's why I am saying that the proponent of this motion, I commend him for bringing it to this, but it's also we need to look at it carefully so that we don't use this word repeal, but we look at it so that we can modify it to be more functional. And so if he will look at it, I think he better bring it down and we'll take it to the committee from behind and see what we can do to make it a more palatable preposition. Thank you, my Speaker.
Now, before I call, we don't send wrong signals to our development partners all over the world, because one of the major reasons why even investors have refused to come to Nigeria in the last 1.5 years is basically on legislation. They always say, if we want to come, what are the relevant legislation that will guarantee that their investment are not going to go down the drain, that their investments are going to be secured and that they are going to be protected. So when I first read it too, I didn't take notice of the word repeal, but they are at that level of development where they are so sensitive to every single word. So I want to advise that the sponsor of this bill, will look at it all over again, consequent upon the argument of Dr. Abdu, and advise that I don't want to rule, so I just want to advise. Because whatever we say here, definitely and obviously attention is going to be paid to it, and we don't want to send the wrong signal to our development partner. And don't forget the fact that he mentioned something that is important. Dixon, that if you talk about immunization, for example, it's a program that more often than not works better when it's not subjected to normal bureaucratic system. You know, it's an ad hoc thing. They quickly gather people together, train them to do immunization. These are solid arguments. So based on these arguments, I would rather advise that we step down and we release it, having taken into consideration those areas that might send wrong signals.